I wrote a little song. I wrote a little song for tonight. Shh. My heart, my soul, floating like a flower.
That's gonna make your Baha'i blogs. Could I get a show of hands? The floor's a little damaged, and my apologies to the Sheraton. I'll pay for it. I can afford it. What? I guarantee you that tonight, if anyone is here over 46, you're gonna be offended. So, just beware now, because I'm gonna say the word butt a lot and ass a lot. Because it is allowed, it's in the Octos. It says you can say ass at a youth conference. Are there any questions at this point? No. No and no. Anything else? I'm actually going to speak tonight. Thanks so much for the warm welcome. As I said earlier, you Baha'is are so starved for celebrities, you'll take whatever you can get. In this case, a big, weird, nerdy character actor from a middling TV show. So, thanks. How you doing? How you doing? I better time myself here. Hey, baby. Let's bring up, you can shout up, but I'm gonna shout you down. I am gonna speak from my heart tonight, folks. Let's show quote number one. Can we show quote number one, ladies and gentlemen? When I figured out my schedule and I could make it here to Nebby Fest, and thanks so much for having me in all seriousness, I did a shout out to my spiritual posse. I have this great online spiritual posse, and this is no joke. How many of you have a spiritual posse you can turn to online? Yeah. Oh, that's pathetic. You guys need to get yourselves a spiritual posse, seriously. Whenever you have a dilemma, whatever it is, at school, at work, at teaching the faith, in organizing a devotional, anything you need, have that group of people you can go to. Have that group of 6 or 8 or 10 or 20 people that you can send out an email and call for help. And these people have helped me so much, my spiritual posse. And I said, well, here I am, a minor television celebrity, incredibly successful international sex symbol. What should I say to 800 youth in Connecticut? And I got an interesting series of answers from people. I got emails from all over my posse. And for instance, my uncle, the great Rhett Diesner, said, talk about love, because that's what it's all about. He said, focus on love. Tom Lysat from LA wrote back and he said, he just had one sentence, why should we obey anything? Susan Hegarty wrote back, she said, the individual investigation of truth, because this is what youth want to hear the most. Mark Bamford said, you tell them about your personal story. Give them your personal story as you as a Baha'i. And someone else wrote and said, put the focus on the core activities. So I'm going to cover all of these things in the next 26 minutes. Here's quote one. Can you guys read that? It's kind of small. I should have had a bigger font. I love this quote. I can't even read it from here. It's basically, someone once sent me this, and if you get Baha'i quotes, build a little file and then put them in your little file. So make sure you save them in your file. Someone sent me this, the 4 things that Baha'u'llah loved in a person. What's the first one? Shout it out. Great. And second one, you over here? Okay. Third, what's up? Yes! Hallelujah! Can I get a hallelujah? Yes! Fourth, what is it? This is a good one. Great. Now, we can all just grade ourselves on these really quick. First, pretty good on that one, B+. Second, I got wreaths, countenance, smile, C. Third, own things, I threw pretty good on that one. I'd say B+, A-. And fourth is I'm like D, I'm failing on that one. Okay, I gotta follow this talk through. But let's hold these things in mind, dear kids, dear children of America. So I'm going to cover all of these different things in a little bit tonight, and here I go. So basically, my story is that I grew up, I'm going to start there, and then I'm going to cover all those other things today, and it's going to end up sounding great, but you're not going to remember a thing. So, and it's going to suck, and that's the story of my life. Basically, I grew up a Baha'i. My dad is sitting over here. Yeah, that's right. I'm sure he loves that. He raised me a Baha'i in a very loving Baha'i family, a very strange family, but a loving one. We'll get into that later. And basically, in 1986, I moved to New York City. And yes, folks, I was 20 years old at that time. I was going to NYU to study acting. And I stopped being a Baha'i. I literally said, you know what? Enough is enough. I'm done with this. And I left the faith. Yes. Oh, boo. Now I want to talk about this. I'd like to talk about this a little bit because I've gained some insights and I have a few things to share. Why did I end the Baha'i faith? What profound, soul-stirring, brilliant, fully realized, fully concocted, and sound foundation reason did I have for leaving the Baha'i faith at that time? I was pissed at the Baha'is. I had moved to New York and I couldn't get a feast bulletin. I couldn't get like a bulletin. I kept like trying to get a bulletin to find out when feasts were, and they wouldn't send me one. And then no one would talk to me at feasts because I moved to New York and it was really, feasts were boring. And then they appointed me to the youth committee. They couldn't send me a bulletin, but they appointed me to the youth committee. So I tried to organize this youth committee, and I tried to get everyone together. It was before the days of email, so it was a lot of like messages on answering machines. If people even had answering machines in 1986, I can't even remember. This was like before Cheers. No, that's not right. I'm just trying to, I know you guys are young. Anyway, a lot of you weren't even born then. And then I organized it, got everyone, and said, let's meet at the NYU Lounge. And we met at the NYU Lounge, and there I sat, and no one showed up. And at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm done. And this is, I hear some applause, I hear some groans, I hear some boos. But don't worry, it's all going to turn out great. And you guys are going to be enthused, inspired, and love Baha'u'llah more than ever. No one leaves the faith of Baha'u'llah. And the reason I wanted to address this is, I sense as I speak to the Baha'i youth of America, there are a lot of very active youth and very energized and charged youth, more energized and charged and spiritually grounded than I've ever seen. And there's a lot of disaffected youth. I ran into a young person tonight and they said, oh, you're a Baha'i? And I said, yeah. I said, are you a Baha'i? And he goes, well, I don't know. One parent's a Baha'i and one's not. And I was like, well, what's your take on it? What do you think? What do you think? And she goes, I haven't signed my card. My dad doesn't want me to. My mom does. She goes, I really love the unity thing, but I just don't know about organized religion. And so there's more on that later. And so this talk is for that person, because I think that there's a lot of people that are dangerous. If they're not at that point right now, they're dangerously close to that precipice. And as someone who's walked it, I wanted to share my story with you. No one leaves the faith of Baha'u'llah, no one leaves the faith because of Baha'u'llah. People leave the faith because of other Baha'is. And what, no, hold on. Let's not have any reaction here, because this is a hot button topic here. And I want to say that, that's not right, because other Baha'is are not the Baha'i faith. And what I had done in all of my arrogance and pride at the age of 20, when I didn't get sent a feast bulletin, I didn't get a feast bulletin. What I had done is I had completely lost my heart connection, quote 2. I had completely lost the connection with my heart to Baha'u'llah at that time. I was completely self-involved, focusing on my career, focusing on my art. And I wasn't reading the writings every morning and every evening. I think I was still saying my noonday prayer, but I didn't have that love of Baha'u'llah, that pure, pure spring of love in my heart. And that is the most important thing. So, you know, I'll talk a little bit more about this later. Hopefully this will all add up and make sense. But basically, you know, my spiritual journey, oh, they have the quote. Oh, that's nice. This is one of my favorite quotes. Where there is love, nothing is too much trouble, and there is always time, for those of you who don't read English. Let's just let that one sit there. Basically, I'm not recommending this path to everyone, but what I am recommending is that everyone take their own spiritual journey. And that's my only message tonight, and that's my message to that young person that I spoke to earlier tonight, is we live in a society where people are afraid of a spiritual journey, but people are in denial of the fact that they have to make a spiritual journey, because people are pretty comfortable, and there's a lot of materialism out there, and there's a lot of comforts, and it can just, you know, it can take you off the track of seeking what your soul needs. And basically, you know, the definition of hell in the Baha'i faith is absence of God, or distance from God, right? So I'm here to talk about hell, because I went through a lot of years of hell, basically. Absence of God and distance of God. And I'm not recommending it. So I'm just saying right now, don't do what I did. You don't have to. You know what? There's nothing there. Trust me. It's kind of like, oh, the Mall of America. I'm in Minneapolis. I should visit the Mall of America. Don't do it. It's just a mall. It's just big. Who cares? It's like watching a reality TV show, you know, from the beginning to the end. Don't watch it. By the end, 23 hours of your life will have gone by, and you'll be like, what was that about? You know, now I know that Rob loves surfboarding, and he's a Gemini, and digs blondes, and loves to eat sushi. Who cares? Don't do it. Don't go to Orange County. Don't go to Las Vegas. Don't go to Cancun. They're not fun. They're stupid. Those things are hell. Those things are absence of God. Also the McRib sandwich that McDonald's tries to introduce everybody. It's terrible. Don't, like, oh, ribs on a bun, that sounds, don't do it. And likewise, you don't have to go down my road, but I urge you all to go on a spiritual journey. Go on an effing spiritual journey. You can say effing. You get a shot of my butt? Cut to this camera. I urge you all to, oh, bring up quote 3. Quote 3. I urge you all, as we are told in the Aqdas by the Blessed Beauty himself, to read the writings every morning and every evening. Just read one sentence. Keep a book by your side of your bed. Just read one sentence before you go to sleep. That's all you need to do. And it's like a little piece of dental floss, and it'll keep your heart connected to this cause, okay? Say your noonday prayer, okay? Every day, say your noonday prayer. Would you want to be dead on the other side, looking over your life and going, God, I was so busy at school that day, I didn't say 3 sentences? It's 3 sentences, I counted them. I thought it was 4, it's 3. That's all Baha'u'llah has said to do. Sun's up, noon to 6, blah, blah, blah. Say these 3 sentences. Keep Baha'u'llah in your heart, but investigate the truth for yourself. All aspects of the truth. Where are we at? Oh, first thing, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it's backing me up. See what I'm talking about? That's right. Now, how y'all doing? This is a very uncomfortable podium. Usually you're back like this, you know. Whatever. Stanford. I'm the first Baha'i to smash a guitar. Yes, I am. She's like, no, you're not. Yeah, I want proof. Individual investigation of truth. Now I'm going to swing it on over to these core activities someone asked me to talk about. I investigated this truth for myself, and here's what I found, and you can find the same thing. I thought long and hard about these plans coming out, and everyone coming to town telling me to focus on the 3 core activities, the 4, the 5 core activities, whatever they are. And I was a little bit suspect. I was a little bit like, that's awfully simplistic. You know, these little classes. You know, I kind of know this stuff in these books, devotion, what is this? You know, I tried to get into it, I was not sure. And I thought long and hard about this. I talked to a lot of people in my spiritual posse. And basically, what I figured out, and this is what I wanted to share, is what was happening before the core activities wasn't working. And I was on this committee in Los Angeles, various committees that planned things. Some of them, Tara Ellis, Heath over here, back there. Soul Sister. We did a lot of planning, we did a lot of great stuff, but my goodness gracious, boy was our energy fractured. We did a race unity event in memorial to Rahia Khanum. We did art auctions for local artists to raise money for the fund. We did things called rock and roll feasts. We had all kinds of crazy things, new believers breakfasts and stuff. I don't understand what you're talking about. You need to put a fork in it, seriously. We did all these crazy things, and they never went anywhere. All of this energy went into these crazy things, and they never went anywhere. So that's part 1. Part 2 of this is that, you know, I heard someone speak at the National Center. I don't know if you know this. They had a media campaign, like, I don't know, 10 or 12 years ago, and they showed these Baha'i infomercials which were really well done, actually, on the cable stations. They got 100,000 responses. 100,000 responses, either emails or phone calls. And they had no way of contacting these people. There's a very famous phone call. My friend Joshua worked on this campaign. And there was a famous phone call that was played back to a lot of people. And it was a guy going, tears on the phone. I just saw your infomercial on the Baha'i Faith and I love it so much and it's the answer I've been looking for. And you know what? I am gonna wait here at this phone until you call me back. Here's the number. I am right here. Please call me back. I need this in my life. Clunk. Well, 2 months later, someone in Chattanooga or whatever gets the thing that this guy has called and it's a payphone. You know what I mean? Like, cork. So basically, the stuff wasn't working. And if something doesn't work, scrap it, in my book. And then you have this will, and then you have no way of bringing people and folding them into the faith. Those are some of my thoughts. There's more. I have them written down somewhere else, but I can't remember them. Do you guys ever see that show Kung Fu? When I was a kid, I grew up on the show Kung Fu. And Kwai Chang Caine wandered the land, set in the Old West. He was half Chinese, and he knew Kung Fu. He was a Shaolin monk. And he wandered the world, and there were all of these badass cowboys out in Old West, and he was looking for his brother or something like that. I forget what he was looking for, but every day he very peacefully walked from town to town looking for his brother, and there were always, every town he came into, there was some kind of bullies and some kind of great injustice, and he would always try and solve it peaceably, and then by Act 3, of course, he had to kick some tail. And I think that we're all like little Baha'i Kwai Chang Caines, wandering the world from town to town. Injustices happen, and we try and solve them peacefully. And when they don't get resolved peacefully, we try again to solve them peacefully by using our Baha'i Kung Fu. Our Baha'i Kung Fu, consultation, prayer. What else? I can't think of anything else. If I'm you, over here, quiet. Hachaka. You guys can talk. Over here. Find the truth for yourself, okay? If there's any Persian kids here, you do not have to grow up to be dentists. There's like 80 Baha'i dentists in Los Angeles. It's the community has the cleanest teeth. Cuckoo. Quote four. I was on this spiritual journey to find myself. And as I talked, it was a journey into hell. No, nothing bad. I wasn't smoking meth in an alley or anything like that, but no, nothing like that. It just was an absence of God in my life, and that yearning for God grew and grew and grew, and of course led me back to deciding, is there a God at all? And I decided that there had to be a God. I prayed, I meditated about this, I thought about this. I couldn't call him God. I had to call him Wankantanka. Wankantanka is some kind of, my apologies, Kevin Locke, it's a Native American phrase for the creator. I had to call him Wankantanka, and I was with my friend Phil Party when we were watching a Mets game, and I had talked to him about how I'd recently come around to believing in Wankantanka. I didn't believe in God, but I believed in the great creator and nature. And he said, well, if you believe in it, the Mets are down, pray to Wankantanka right now that the Mets will win in the 9th inning. That's a true story. I prayed to Wankantanka out loud. I was like, Wankantanka, if you exist, give the Mets a victory in the 9th inning. Strawberries at the plate. Hits a home run, no joke. Mets win the game. I'm not joking. Where's quote 4? Where are my quotes at? Here's a good one. In retrospect, I'm going to read it out loud in English. I speak English excellently. The more we search for ourselves, the less likely we are to find ourselves. And the more we search for God and to serve our fellow men, the more profoundly we will become acquainted with ourselves. Ooh. And the more inwardly assured. This is one of the great spiritual lessons of life. Are those, I don't understand what those are. I don't understand. Tough house. Weird. What I did is I made my religion my art. Cue quote 5. And I made art my religion. Excuse me, I reversed that. I made art my religion for myself in those years, and theater and acting, and I really thought we could change the world and change people's souls through the craft of acting. I did a lot of plays and experimental plays that really we tried to just reach people's hearts and such, and that's great, and that's, I think that's what allowed me to come back and find my faith in Baha'u'llah again. Is this is a great one. This is beautiful. Who wants to read this one? Who wants to read it? Come here. Come on, run. Hurry. Come on. Slowpoke, get up here. Yeah, read it.
Which one?
Right there, circle.
I rejoice to hear that thou hast taken...
Now read it slow like a human. I'm like a Baha'i Don Rickles.
I thought they understood.
What's your name?
Laudan.
Hi.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Start again, read slow. I'm Rainn.
Okay, nice to meet you. I rejoice to hear that thou hast taken pains with thine art. For in this wonderful new age, art is worship. The more thou strivest to perfect it, the closer wilt thou come to God. What bestowal could be greater than this, that one's art should be even as the act of worshiping the Lord? That is to say, when thy fingers grasp the paintbrush, it is as if thou wert at prayer in the temple. Abdul Baha.
Thank you so much. Oh look, I didn't know I could do this. This is nice. My cards are useless to me now. I forget what I'm saying. Is my time up? Almost, right? I'm gonna do a monologue for you. To be I made art my faith. Right, we did that. What a great bunch of Baha'i artists we saw here, you know? This is so awesome. Casey Porter, the Dawnbreaker Collect, everyone I've heard, breaking new ground. It's so exciting, because you know what we really need, and I always say this, we need a Baha'i Radiohead. Yes! You know what I'm saying? We need a Baha'i Wu-Tang Clan. A Baha'i Bob Marley. A Baha'i Kurt Cobain. Minus the suicide. You know, being an artist and being a Baha'i does not mean, and that's what's so great that what we're hearing is it doesn't mean you have to be soft, it doesn't mean you have to be sentimental, it doesn't mean you have to be precious. You can be sacred, and you don't have to be precious about it. Something can be sacred, something can be beautiful, but it doesn't have to be soft. So, live and learn. I'm tanking now. I started good. How you guys doing? There's a mandolin player back there. How you doing? Rocking a mandolin. All right, what are we at? Made art my faith, blah, 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 blah. Why do we obey things? So, I'm almost done, I promise. I got 2 cards. Why do we obey things? This is I love that. How do you like that? Just a response. Why do we obey things? Fantastic. I have something very real to say about that. You know, the analogy is often used, and I always use to myself, it's a little tired, and if someone can think of a better one, let me know. But the analogy I always use is traffic laws. Why do we obey things? Why do we wear our seatbelts? It's like, you know, moral laws are so interesting because it's like people are, you know, if it's drugs or alcohol, it's like, I don't want some higher authority telling me what I can drink and not. I want the minimum, you know? And it's like, well, you're supposed to wear your seatbelt, but everyone's like, oh, clink, you know? Meh, meh, you know? All these sheep putting on their seatbelts each day. Why are you doing that? You're listening to the man telling you to fasten your seatbelt? Huh? No, because we've seen car accidents on the TV, man. And it's ugly without a seat. It's ugly with a seatbelt. It's uglier without a seatbelt. I spent some time in Morocco, which was awesome. No one wears seatbelts, no one obeys traffic laws, and it is ugly. You do not, it's a beautiful country. I highly recommend traveling there, but do not drive anywhere. That's possible. Stay off the highways. This hit me with quote 6, boys. These are 2 quotes from the Akdas, the Baha'i Book of Laws. Habalabala. This is what it looks like to me. Shefra soy commandments for love of my... I can't even... Observe my commandments for love of my beauty. He says that in there. Right at the top. Baha'u'llah says that. He also says, think not I have revealed a mere code of laws. Nay, rather, I have unsealed the choicest of wines with the fingers of might and power. You know, why obey things? We have some laws in the Baha'i faith. They're nothing too strenuous. But what a revolution Baha'u'llah created to say, you should obey these laws, not because they're right, not because you will go to hell if you don't, not because you should feel bad if you don't, or I'm going to kick your butts, or anything like that. Saying, do it for love of me. Do it for love of my beauty. And the fast is coming up, and I am so excited about it. And I pity all you people that are too young to do the fast. Suckers. It's gonna be great. I get to do the fast because of my love for Baha'u'llah. I get to do these things for my love of his beauty. And it's not a law. It's not a law. He's giving me the choicest wine, which he forbade me to drink. So that's a little weird. If I was editing the book, I'd be like, yo, we say choicest of Martinelli's. We're gonna let it slide. He's a prophet of God, folks. Comedy and spirituality. Fart noises. These things are revolutionary. It's revolutionary. And you wanted to do it so bad. She couldn't help it. She was like, She wanted to be like, blah! I don't even know. I can't understand half of what she's saying. So we obeyed things, individual investigation of truth. Where are we at? What didn't I cover here? Love? Yeah, that's a good one. I got nothing. No, we're feeling the love here. I love this youth conference. How about this Nebby? Guys, it's such a great positive energy here. And it's so nice to see you're not looking for husbands and wives. You're out here just having a great time, you know? It's awesome. There's no fashion show going on. Fantastic. You guys getting anything from what I'm saying? I'm about to wrap it up. I promise. In half an hour. It's a little over half an hour. You know, I just want to say, let's go to the final quote here, folks. This quote came from my spiritual posse. One time I did a fireside, and what I did is I wrote out to my spiritual posse, send me your favorite quote. I got all these favorite quotes back. I sent out to like 30 of my posse, only 19 wrote me back. I had 19 quotes, and just gave the fireside by putting those quotes in a hat, and people, I'm gonna smash that guitar, dude. I did a fireside by having these 19 quotes in a hat and passed them around, and everyone had one, and we read them and discussed them, and it was a really, really beautiful thing. There's one thing you can do with your Baha'i posses. The great thing is to live the life. I'm going to read it for you, because hearing it from a TV star will make it sink into your feeble little hearts. I love you guys. I really do. I swear to God. I'm so privileged. Thank you for letting me speak here, you guys. We're about to wrap up. The great thing is to live the life, to have our lives so saturated with the divine teaching and the Baha'i spirit that people cannot fail to see a joy, a power, a love, a purity, a radiance, an efficiency in our character and work that will distinguish us from worldly-minded people and make people wonder, what is the secret of this new life in us? We must become entirely selfless and devoted to God, so that every day and every moment we seek to do only what God would have us do and in the way He would have us do it. And this is where my spiritual journey has taken me, and every day this quote is what I strive to do. I try to live my will in accordance with God's will, and I tell you, my life has never been better. You know, I'll just wrap up by saying, to the person I met, the young person I met, who said that she liked the idea of unity, but was not sure if organized religion was for her. I can assure you this is the most disorganized religion. You won't get feast bulletins. No one will show up at your youth committee meetings. But you know what? This is an interesting thing, because what she said is basically everyone that I try to teach the faith to, they have the same response. Every single person I talk to says the same thing. I love God. I know there's some kind of God, but I could never be part of an organized religion. And it's interesting, and I can certainly understand that. I mean, we all know the quote, if religion be a cause of disunity, it were better that there were no religion. Because the very word religion comes from the Latin religio, religio. Re, as in to do again, legio is to bind. ligio, like ligament, to rebind. So religion rebinds us. And if it doesn't rebind us, it's worthless. And I would say that the Baha'i faith can bind us, it can bind the world, but most importantly, go on your spiritual journey. All of you, go on your spiritual journey. Find out this truth for yourself, okay? I love you guys, thanks.
Hi there, I'm Rainn Wilson, and I'm here at Nebi Fest, New England Baha'i Youth Festival. I'm an actor on the TV show The Office, and I was asked to speak here at Nebi Fest, and this posed a great issue for me, a great dilemma. Like, here I am, you know, a minor television celebrity. I'm also a Baha'i. Baha'is are pretty psyched to have any kind of celebrity they can speak to them. And here I have a captive audience of like 800 to 1,000 young, mostly Baha'is. I think some people that aren't Baha'is, but mostly Baha'is. And I have an opportunity to speak about my faith with them. And so what I did is as I said in my talk I gave last night, you know, I wrote my spiritual posse, and I was like, what do I say to these kids? You know, and I got a whole bunch of variety of different responses. And someone, a good friend of mine, wrote me back saying that she thought that I should speak about the independent investigation of truth. And this is one of the principles of the Baha'i faith. This is one of the core tenets of the Baha'is, that every Baha'i has the obligation to seek the truth for themselves. And this isn't even like a suggested course of action. This isn't even like, oh, this might be a good idea if you did this. It's like, it is your obligation. Find the truth for yourself, but seek the truth. It's a very active teaching, and I don't know that it exists in any other religion in the world. And another friend of mine says, talk about your story, you know, personalize it, make it about you. And so, you know, my main thrust of the talk, I tried to cover a bunch of different things and share a lot of my favorite quotes, but my main thrust of the talk was really about encouraging these youth, these Baha'i youth, to go on a spiritual journey to find the truth for themselves. And I talked in moderate detail. I didn't tell the whole story about how when I was in my 20s in New York being an actor, I left the Baha'i faith. I was born into a Baha'i family and raised a Baha'i, and I left the Baha'i faith for a long time, and that was a beginning of my own personal spiritual journey, which eventually led me back to God and a very different understanding of God, of who God was, of what God was, and led me back to seeing that the Baha'i faith was really the only system of beliefs that made any sense to me. You know, the big issue that I always have is that I speak to people about the Baha'i faith, or I speak about religion, and they ask me about the Baha'i faith, and I tell them, and then I say, what's your belief? And they say, well, I believe in God, kind of. You know, I sort of believe in a power out there, but I don't believe in an old man with a beard on a cloud that's judgmental, and I certainly could never be a part of any organized religion. And this is the great dilemma of our times right here in America as Baha'is when we try and share our faith with people. Not that our aim is to convert people, that's not our goal, but as Baha'is we're taught to teach the faith. We share with people our beliefs, you know, we share what's in our heart. Everyone gets to make their own path and their own decision. And so I wanted to talk about that. I think that, you know, for me, where I over, you know, 10 years in a nutshell is basically I came to this understanding of God as a creative force in the universe. That God for me was the spark that ignites nature. It's the creative energy that flows through art. And it's the creator. I thought of it in terms of the creator of, you know, I talked about in my talk last night about how I I came to believe in the Lakota idea of Wankantanka, the Great Spirit. I could believe in the Great Spirit, but I couldn't believe in God. But then that gradually led me to seeing like, well, since I do believe in this God, what does God want from me? And how do I find that out? Do I go to a meditation class or take yoga or gaze into a crystal or listen to a New Age record or go to the Methodist church down the street? Or how do I know what this God wants from me? And that's what led me back to the Baha'i Faith, because this principle in the Baha'i Faith of progressive revelation is the one that made the most sense to me, the deepest sense to me. And that is the idea that all of the messengers of God that founded the world's great religions all come from one source. And they all bring a message to that particular people at that particular time, be it Krishna or Buddha or Abraham, Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, Zoroaster. All of them, essentially their message is very pure, essentially their message is the same. And Baha'u'llah, Baha'is believe, is the latest chapter in this gradually unfolding book that God is revealing, and that Baha'u'llah has the answers to today's problems for today's tribe, which is the whole world. And that's a very nutshell version of kind of my spiritual journey, kind of back into the faith I grew up in, kind of a rediscovery and a refreshing of those ideas. And you know, the message I want to give to the young people, Baha'is, not Baha'is, I don't care who you are, go on a spiritual journey. Someday we all die, you know, and why not go on this spiritual journey while you're alive instead of when you're on your deathbed? Because these are big questions that we all wrestle with. What happens when we die? And that's the ultimate question. Is there a God? What is love? How does it work? What is faith? What is the nature of faith? So young people of America, we live in very sad, very troubling times. And materialism is prevalent. Status is very prevalent. I talk about this kind of disease of being too cool for school that's out there among the teenagers, much more so than when I was younger. And I say, go on a spiritual journey. I compared it to the TV show Kung Fu, where Kwai Chang Caine goes through the Old West, you know, looking for his brother and overcoming injustice in every town he goes on. But he's on a spiritual quest. And this is what the Baha'i young people need to undertake and engage in fully on a daily basis. And it's what the young people all over the world need to go on, is a spiritual journey. These are new and exciting and dangerous times. And we need to all find out the truth for ourselves.